Okay, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be talking about macros. I know there's a lot of content on macros, and if you do a good YouTube search, you'll find a lot of information about macros, about specific functions within macros, how to code a macro, how to set up the developer toolbar, saving as a macro book. Um, but for this, make sure prior to starting this video, if you're going to follow along, save your Excel book as a macro file, and make sure you have the developer ribbon already installed. A quick Google search will show you how to do that. Um, but I'm going to take a different approach to teaching macros. I'm going to use a real life example that I've used in the past when I worked at an entry level finance position for a major company. What I used to do was create credits for numerous customers based on the items that the customer bought. We would give them credits, and this would be uploaded into Oracle or into SAP or into EDI using an EDI system. So this is what I created right now. I created a sample mock template that we will use per se to upload the credit information into the ERP system. Um, this is sample customer information that we will use to populate these template columns. So for example, customer number, if you've got a big box store, it's got a customer number of 2356778. So when we upload information, we need to ensure we have the correct corresponding information for the customer when creating the credit. And then there's some data that I just generated. It's just some random data that I got off the internet. Nothing, it's not real. It's just sample article information, article number, what type. So does the article fall under cosmetics, grocery, or pharmacy? The amount of credit that we're going to be allocating to it. Just use a formula. And this is just going to be adjusting the amount of data that we use when creating the credit, randomizing it. Um, so a little bit of background about me. When I was in the entry level position, the work was really easy, but it would be a lot of times. I did maybe 1,000 of these in a year or something like that. And it'll take time. Time adds up. And sometimes you might enter the wrong information in the credit and then you upload it into the ERP system and then it messes up. And then you gotta correct the information. That takes time. You gotta get other SAP administrators involved, or and that can take a while. So 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 yeah, it can take time. So best thing what I did in that situation was to just automate it. Number one, to save time. And number two, to reduce errors in the data. So I can just give you a brief rundown how it will be done manually when creating a credit. So for example, we'll be creating a credit for pharmacy goods. Copy it over. Okay. And copy the credit over, the dollar amount that we're giving the credit for. And then for example, if we're doing it for big box, or you can say little store, or PharmaSense, let's say PharmaSense. We need to copy its customer information over. Oops. Whoops, again. The region is 10. Okay. Then you have to autofill it. So you can press Control D. Okay. And then you'd have this, and then I would save as CSV, which would take maybe another minute or two. a minute. Sorry, maybe 30 seconds, but whatever. Yeah, so it can take time, especially when you're copying over. You might copy into the wrong column. So that's one error that you can make. You can might forget to copy something. You might not populate it till the end. Yeah, so you can. There's a lot of errors that you can create, and it might take a long time too sometimes, especially if you're doing over 600 of them, or you might have to do like 10 at once and maybe 1,000 in a year. It can take time. So what I did when I was in the situation, for the similar situation, what I did was I automated it. And what I did was exactly I did was automated the entry into this credit template while accommodating the specific customer information and then exporting it as a CSV in the end. So what I had was I used to have like a lot of the same customers and it'll be the same customer information at times, but I also had a times I would also have another customer and that would have very unique information which I needed to populate. So I also incorporated that into the macro that I made when I was at that in that when I was in that at that job. And I'll be showing you a similar example over here. Okay, so I broke it down into steps. The first step would be to find the last row of the selected data. Like create a macro that would find the last row for a set of data. After, create a formula that would pull the specific customer information. So a formula that would find this customer number, distribution channel, credit region, ship to, sell to, etc. Then autofill the information and that would draw on the last row that we found in step one. And then at times we need to accommodate other customer information. So what if the credit is not for one of these? It's the other customer. We also need to accommodate that within our macro. And then we need to export the data into a CSV. And number six, we also, maybe in the beginning or maybe in the end, we need to clear the data or have an option to clear the data. Clear the template. Okay. So I'm going to do number one for now in this video, and in the other videos, do it over the course of maybe the next few weeks. I'll show you the next steps. But for number one, I'm just going to show you the step one. Let's go to developer, record macro. Before we go there, let's go to the data that we're going to use. Okay. So we're going to be using this data. So we go record macro. Okay. Last row. Let's call it last row. Check how many rows in the data set. Okay. That's it. Well, what I did was had my cursor on A1 and then click shift control down, and that's it. Now we can step into the macro, clean it up a bit. It's literally just one line of code, but this code is just going to be very vital in this automation project. So instead of dot select, we're going to do dot count. Okay. Oops. And we're going to do, since we always want to select range A1, actually A2. Dot select. Okay. Battery's almost over, so gonna have to be quick. Then we want to make sure we click the sheets to use. Is that the name of it? To use dot select. Okay. And then we gotta define a variable for the last row. So LR equals dim LR as a integer. So we're defining the last row in variable because this line is not useful unless we define as a variable. Okay. So LR equals to this range, whatever section dot select xo down dot count. Okay. It's an integer value. And what this does is that before we run our macro, It's going to go to the sheets to use data and only count the rows in that data and not in another data in another tab. And this prevents errors. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So what's going to happen, I'll walk you through it. So for example, we're here, we run the macro, it's going to go here, okay, then it's going to go here, it's going to count all the rows, and then that's it. That's what this macro is going to do. Let's see if it works. Let's do an input box. Let's see if this works. See, 375. Is that how many rows that we have? Yep. Hmm. So what you need to do is pretty much just put in this code right here, and this will count all the visible cells within that data set. So dot special cells Excel type visible dot count. This will count all the visible cells within the data set. So we can click run. So click run. Counts 305. Check the spreadsheet. Counts 305. So the first step is done. We've counted the last row of the visible data within this tab. And in the next session, we're going to talk about step 2, creating formulas to pull the customer specific data. And this will probably involve VLOOKUPs. And yeah, but for now, we've done step 1. If you have any comments, let me know. Any ideas for macros that I should do to create, comment, like, subscribe.